Take a long, hard look at the world around you. You are working harder than you did 5 years ago, aren't you? You are more productive, you have more experience, and your paycheck is higher. But somehow, at the end of every month, there is less left over. The grocery bags are lighter, but the bill is heavier. The gas tank costs more to fill, but the miles stay the same. You feel like you're running a race on a treadmill that keeps getting faster. This is not an accident. This is not a coincidence. You are the victim of a crime that has no physical evidence. It is the most successful heist in human history, and it is happening in your bank account every second. I call it the silent theft. Mainstream media calls it inflation, and they talk about it like it's some natural weather pattern. They want you to believe it just happens, like rain or a heat wave. But I'm George Stelling, and through the prosperity prism, I see the truth. Inflation is a calculated policy. It is a transfer of wealth from those who work to those who own. It is a weaponized economic tool designed to strip you of your purchasing power. It is a war on the poor and the middle class, and most of you are losing. By the end of this hour, you will understand how the thieves operate. You will see the invisible hands reaching into your pocket. And most importantly, you will learn how to make yourself theft-proof. The vault is open, and it's time to talk about the dilution of your life. Let's talk about what money actually represents. Money is not just paper or digits on a screen. Money is a storage of your life energy. When you work for an hour, you are trading a piece of your finite life for currency. You can never get that hour back. It is gone forever. You store that energy in your bank account, expecting it to be there when you need it later. But what happens when the currency itself is diluted? Imagine you have a glass of pure orange juice representing your hard work. Now imagine the government pours a gallon of water into that glass. The liquid is still there, but the juice, the value, is gone. This is exactly what happens when the money supply is expanded. Every time the central banks print a new dollar, they are stealing a tiny bit of value from every other dollar in existence. They are diluting the life energy you have already spent. They are essentially forcing you to work longer for the same result. If prices go up 10% and your wage stays the same, you have effectively taken a 10% pay cut. You didn't do anything wrong. Your boss didn't necessarily do anything wrong, but your labor has been devalued by the people who control the printing press. This is why the old rules of saving cash in a coffee can are dead. Holding cash in an inflationary environment is like holding an ice cube in the sun. It feels solid for a moment, but it is melting away every second you hold it. In the prosperity prism, we don't save cash. We store energy and assets that can't be diluted. There is a cruel mechanism at the heart of inflation called the wage price lag. When inflation hits, the prices of the things you need, food, rent, energy, rise almost instantly. The corporations and the landlords see the costs going up, and they adjust their prices overnight. But does your salary adjust overnight? Of course not. You have to wait for your annual review. You have to beg for a 3% or 5% raise. By the time you get that raise, prices have already jumped another 10%. You are always playing catch-up, and you are always behind. The wealthy don't have this problem because they own the things that are rising in price. If you own 1,000 apartment units, inflation is your friend because you can raise the rent. If you own a grocery chain, inflation is your friend because you can raise the price of milk. But if you are a worker selling your time, you are the last person to get a price hike. This lag is the death zone for the poor. It is where the savings are wiped out and the credit card debt begins. The system counts on this lag to squeeze the maximum amount of labor out of you for the minimum cost. It turns the middle class into a ghost class, haunted by the prices of the past. You remember when a house cost 3 times a salary, now it costs 10 times. Your memory of value is being weaponized against your current reality. You must stop thinking in dollars and start thinking in purchasing power. Only then can you see how deep the hole actually is. Inflation has a very specific set of winners and losers. The biggest loser is the saver, the person who follows the rules and keeps their money in the bank. The bank pays you 1% interest while inflation is at 7%. The bank is essentially charging you 6% a year for the privilege of holding your money. They take your deposits and invest them in assets that grow while giving you back watered-down juice. The biggest winner, however, is the debtor, specifically the massive corporations and the government. When you owe $1 million and inflation runs rampant, the real value of that debt shrinks. You are paying back the debt with dollars that are worth less than the ones you borrowed. This is why the government needs inflation. They have trillions of dollars in debt they can never pay back. The only way out for them is to inflate the currency so much that the debt becomes manageable. They are essentially defaulting on their obligations by destroying the currency. And who pays for that default? You do. Every time you pay $7 for a loaf of bread, you are paying a hidden tax to fund the government's overspending. It is a tax that doesn't require a vote in Congress. It is a tax that hits the person with $10 in their pocket much harder than the person with $10 million. In the prosperity prism, we understand that cash is trash during a theft. You must transition from being a victim who saves to a strategist who owns. Don't be the person holding the bag when the currency collapses. If the currency is a sinking ship, you need a lifeboat. In the world of 2026, that lifeboat is made of productive assets. An asset is something that inflation cannot touch because its value is intrinsic. A company that makes a product people need will always have value, regardless of what the dollar is doing. If the dollar loses half its value, the company just doubles the price of its product. The owner of that company stays whole. The owner of an apartment building stays whole because people will always need a roof over their heads. The owner of a broad market index fund stays whole because they own a slice of the entire productive economy. This is the only shield against the silent theft. You must convert your melting cash into frozen capital. Once your money is locked into an asset, the inflation tax no longer applies to you. In fact, you start to benefit from it. As the currency is debased, the nominal price of your assets goes up. You look richer on paper, but more importantly, your purchasing power remains intact. The poor look at a stock market at an all-time high and think it's too expensive. The wealthy look at a stock market at an all-time high and realize it's just the currency dying. They aren't making more money. They are just holding on to the value they already have. Stop measuring your wealth in pieces of paper with dead presidents on them. Measure your wealth in shares, in square footage, and in ownership. The lifeboat is waiting. Are you going to get in, or are you going to keep treading water? Inflation doesn't just steal your money, it steals your standard of living. There is a psychological phenomenon I call lifestyle compression. As prices rise, you don't stop buying things immediately, you just buy lesser versions. You stop buying the organic steak and you buy the ground beef. You stop going to the movies and you wait for the streaming release. You stop taking the 2-week vacation and you take a staycation. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, your world becomes smaller. You are working just as hard, but your experience of life is being downgraded. The system wants you to get used to less. They want you to accept a smaller house, a smaller car, and a smaller future. They use words like sustainability and minimalism. to make poverty feel like a lifestyle choice. But George Stelling knows the difference between a choice and a consequence. This compression creates a sense of constant low-level stress. You are always looking for the cheaper option, always worrying about the next price hike. This mental energy should be used for building your legacy, not for hunting coupons. The silent theft is designed to keep you so busy surviving that you never have time to thrive. It turns the citizen into a scavenger. You must resist this compression with everything you have. You resist it by increasing your income through high-value skills and by multiplying your wealth through assets. Don't accept a smaller life. Demand a larger strategy. Why doesn't the government stop the theft? Because they are the ones holding the crowbar. Inflation is the most efficient way for a government to spend money it doesn't have. If they raised your income taxes by 10%, there would be riots in the streets. People would vote them out of office in a heartbeat. But if they print money and cause 10% inflation, most people don't know who to blame. They blame the grocery store, they blame the oil companies, or they blame the supply chain. They blame everyone except the people who control the money supply. This is taxation without representation in its most insidious form. It allows the government to fund wars, bureaucracies, and pet projects while the bill is paid by your grandmother's savings. The government is the world's largest debtor, and debtors love inflation. It is a giant delete button for their liabilities. They are essentially burning the house down to keep themselves warm. In the prosperity prism, we don't wait for the government to fix the economy. The economy is working exactly the way they want it to. They are the house, and the house always wins. Your only hope is to stop playing their game and start playing the game of the owners. Stop being a user of the government's currency and start being an owner of the world's productivity. When you stop relying on their paper, they lose their power over you. The silent theft only works on those who stay in the vault. You've heard the excuses in 2026. The supply chain is broken. There is a shortage of chips. The geopolitical situation is unstable. While these things can cause temporary price spikes, they are not the cause of permanent systemic inflation. The smokescreen is designed to keep your eyes off the central bank. Shortages of goods come and go, but the permanent increase in the cost of everything is a monetary phenomenon. If you have 10 apples and $10, each apple costs $1. If the supply chain breaks and you only have 5 apples, each apple costs $2. But eventually, the supply chain is fixed and you have 10 apples again. If the price stays at $2, it's not because of the apples, it's because someone printed 10 more dollars. The system loves a good crisis because it provides cover for more printing. They use the emergency to flood the market with cash, and when the emergency is over, the cash stays. The prices never go back down to where they were. This is the ratchet effect. Prices only move in one direction, up. Don't fall for the headlines. Don't waste your time worrying about the shortage of the month. Focus on the long-term dilution. The supply chain will fix itself, but the money will never be unprinted. Your labor is being permanently devalued while the excuses are temporary. In the prosperity prism, we ignore the noise and watch the liquidity. When the printing press is running, the theft is in progress. Act accordingly. So, how do you survive a war that is being fought with invisible weapons? First, you must stop holding excess cash. You need an emergency fund, yes, but anything beyond that is a liability. Every dollar sitting in a savings account is a dollar that is being slowly stolen from you. Second, you must invest in your own productivity. The one thing inflation can never touch is your ability to provide value to the world. If you are the best at what you do, the world will pay you the current price for your skills. Your human capital is an inflation-protected asset. Third, you must acquire hard assets. Real estate, high-quality businesses, and commodities are the bunkers of the financial world. They hold their value when the currency is in flames. Fourth, you must avoid high-interest consumer debt. While inflation helps debtors, it only helps those with low fixed-rate debt. Credit card debt at 25% interest will destroy you faster than inflation ever could. You are essentially paying a double tax, one to the government and one to the bank. Finally, you must change your mindset. Stop thinking of yourself as a worker and start thinking of yourself as an asset manager. Your job is the cash flow that feeds the asset base. The goal is to move as much energy as possible from the job to the vault. The war is real, the theft is silent, but the solution is loud and clear. Own the world or be consumed by it. I'm George Stelling, and I want you to understand the stakes of this war. This isn't just about being able to afford a nicer car or a better house. This is about freedom. When your money is being stolen, your time is being stolen. When your time is being stolen, your life is being stolen. The silent theft is a form of soft slavery, where you are allowed to keep the illusion of freedom while the fruit of your labor is siphoned away. By building your fortress of assets, you are taking your life back. You are telling the system that your life energy is not for sale at a discounted rate. You are securing a future where you are the master of your own destiny. Imagine a life where you don't care about the price of gas or the cost of groceries. Imagine a life where your assets produce more value in a day than you used to earn in a month. That life is possible, but it requires you to wake up and see the heist in progress. Do not let them steal your future while you are sleeping. Subscribe to this channel if you are ready to stop being a victim and start being an owner. The prosperity prism is open, and the truth is yours to keep. Secure your legacy, protect your energy, and I will see you at the crossover.